Welcome to Pensar Basketball. Some big trades have happened since the Kawhi Leonard blockbuster to Toronto. Jaylen Brown has changed teams. The East is shaken up. Mitchell Robinson is left. We're going to break down all the free agency stuff. And most importantly, we're going to talk about what the heck the Raptors are doing because Sandro Mamukelashvilli, he is gone. He is going to the Los Angeles Lakers. And the Los Angeles Lakers, gone, done, lost their mind because this is crazy. And I think if you're a Toronto Raptor fan, you're thinking a few things right now. Number one, um, if Jaylen Brown went for so little, did we overpay for Kawhi? We'll talk about that. I think maybe we need to talk about just what this roster is going to look like, and I'm going to talk about the depth chart and specifically what the Raptors need to do. They do have some roster. They have some time between now and July 6th when this deal can be completed, so they have a few days here to potentially engage a third team to see if they can send out a little bit more salary, expand this trade. The deal between the Raptors and the Clippers, that part of the deal, that's done. That's done. There's no changing that. But from this point on, what the Raptors do will drastically impact whether or not they have access to their mid-level exception, whether they're going to be, whether they're going to be locked at the first apron, a lot of these things. And of course, the Toronto Raptors have not exactly historically been big spenders into the luxury tax. But with a move for Kawhi Leonard, with the timeline on Kawhi Leonard, could the Raptors have something much bigger brewing? And no, I'm not just talking, free agency, but what about trades? The Raptors still have RJ Barrett's expiring. They still have Jakob Poeltl's contract. We're seeing what centers are going for right now. Does a team that misses out on a center potentially look at Jakob Poeltl and say, you know what, it's a little overpaid, but apparently that's the going rate for big men these days? So we're going to talk about all that. So first, I want to before I get into any of that, I just want to show you the Raptors depth chart as it sits right now, and then we'll get into all the free agency stuff. We'll look at all of Shams posts and react to it, and we'll see. Like, did the Boston Celtics lose their minds trading Jaylen Brown for just 2 first-round picks? Like, what are they doing? As it stands right now, the Toronto Raptors depth chart is as follows: Emmanuel Quickley at the point, RJ Barrett at the 2, Kawhi at the 3, Scotty at the 4, Jakob at the 5. Backing them up are Jamal Shed, Jacoby Walter, Jamison Battle, Colin Murray Boyles, and for now, Colin Murray Boyles, because the Raptors don't really have a backup center. So it's going to be like Colin Murray Boyles is going to do double duty on backup 4 and 5. I mean, it's not that bad. Kawhi can also switch out to the 4 a little bit. You can play very, very small, but I do think the Raptors desperately need a backup 5. And it doesn't have to be someone amazing. It just has to be somebody serviceable. There are some names, and we can take a look at the best available agents. There are some that might be able to squeeze into a minimum. There are some underrated players who may be available on the buyout market. And again, of course, trades remain possible from now until the end of the summer. You can still make trades. So you might be able to consolidate RJ into 2 players. You might be able to break Emmanuel Quickley apart into 3 players. There's a lot of things that the Raptors can still do. I understand that people feel like the Raptors traded all their pick flexibility going forward. Some people feel that maybe the Raptors want to hold it until the trade deadline and see where they're at. But this is not a team that is looking at this as we'll slow play it. This is a team that is at the blackjack table and just said, I'm all in. Or at the poker table and said, I'm all in. I'm all in. This is my hand. This is what I got. And we didn't really talk too much about what this means for how much they believe in the young guys backing up Kawhi here. But honestly, I think these playoffs, if they don't go the way they do for Colin Murray Boyles, Scotty Barnes, Jacoby Walter, if this is why I think the Raptors wanted to make the playoffs with Ingram. I think Ingram provided a nice little simulation of what offensive stability looks like for this team so they could see the other players functioning in their roles, see if Jamal Shed had the goods. He did. See if Jamison Battle had the goods. He did. Notice that every single player who played really well for the Raptors in the playoffs is still here. If Emmanuel Quickley had played in the playoffs and he'd shit the bed like I thought he would, he might have gotten traded too. So really, the playoffs were a bit of a litmus test. I don't know if the Raptors are over-indexing on playoff performance, but honestly, I think the playoffs are very encouraging. To those who don't know, Colin Murray Boyles in the playoffs averaged more paint points per 36 minutes than any player in the playoffs. Also, among players off the bench, he shot the highest percentage off the bench of any player in the playoffs. Granted, it's a small sample size, but 7 games is 7 games, and a rookie is a rookie. So CMB, Scotty, Jacoby, Jamal Shed, I feel like they kind of told the Raptors, you can bet on us. RJ Barrett, for now, he told the Raptors, you can bet on us. And the guys who showed up in that series, I think the Raptors looked at those guys and said, you know what? These are the guys that have the goods. Let's go for it. And now you just need to find more guys that have the goods because you traded for the ultimate guy who has the goods in the playoffs. So, what you desperately need to round out this roster, in my humble opinion, number one, a stretch five. Okay. A stretch 4-5, but more properly a stretch five. What does that look like? Probably Jalen Smith, but I mean, that's 9 million. I don't know how you match the salaries. You have a couple of really big salaries. So unless you're breaking one of those salaries apart into two players or taking back a very bad contract, it's very difficult. Another option would be someone like Miles Turner. I understand Miles Turner may seem overqualified to come off the bench, but I don't really think he's overqualified to come off the bench. And maybe I know it went not so great the first time, but maybe someone like Kelly Olynyk, that's someone to look at. He's serviceable. He's not great, but the Raptors at one point thought he was worth trading for and gave a 2 million, 2-year, $22 million deal to. I just want a little bit of stability because it feels right now that if Kawhi Leonard is out of the lineup, I need you to think about this lineup. It moves to Scotty Barnes at the 3, Colin Murray Boyle stepping into the starting lineup at the 4. Your spacing is already a little bit too messy for my liking because ideally, and again, this is kind of the complicating factor of having RJ Barrett, it's Jacoby Walter in that starting lineup next to Emmanuel Quickley that unlocks all the spacing for your big wings. It's a stretch big next to Jakob Pertl. So right now, I'm not seeing Emmanuel Quickley as a huge problem right now. I'm really not. I'm also thinking maybe the Raptors are waiting for Summer League. I got a message today from a dude that y'all definitely know. We interviewed him, John McCall from Craft Athletics. He said, "Man, look out for one of these guys on your summer league team." I'm not going to tell you which one, but I'm just going to tell you that the Raptors brought him onto the summer league team. Look out for this guy. He's really, really good, and I trust John. Like he trains Tyrone Stokes. He trained AJ DeBonsa. I have no reason not to believe him. So if he's telling me trust this guy, like watch his tape, he's amazing. He was a high volume 3-point shooter at the Division 1 level. Okay, let's go. Maybe the Raptors have something, right? Cass saying John McCall is solid. Absolutely, man. He's great. He's very smart dude. So maybe the Raptors are able to find something in summer league. I think the Raptors are going to have to really be careful about the next few signings because obviously it's a narrow field, right? The longer you wait, the more these guys go. A lot of the guys that are really wanted on this team, Bogdan Bogdanovic, Colin Sexton, Quentin Grimes, these guys went. They went early, right? So now you're kind of left picking at it and you're just like, okay, where do we find Marcus Smart was another one. I would have loved Marcus Smart on this team. Jonathan Isaac, that's another one. Mo Wagner, that's another one. The guys just keep drying up. The pool is drying up. So, obviously at some point you're going to be looking at undrafted free agents, diamonds in the rough, you're undrafted, those guys who just you scout in summer league and you're like, that's the guy. But need I remind you, Javon Freeman Liberty was one of those guys. It didn't work out. So the Raptors have to be very careful right now. And obviously, you want to do everything possible to support Kawhi Leonard in his first championship pursuit with this current iteration of the Raptors. Okay, let's get to some of the trades. There are some former Raptors involved. Number one is 7-footer Brandon Carlson. We talked a little bit about this yesterday, but $2.5 million to sign with the Portland Trailblazers. And I mentioned, what is Portland doing? That's a lot of money. And just a lot of bigs. That's a lot of centers. I mean, they just drafted Henson Yang last year. What are they doing with that? I like Kobe Saunders. 4 years, $11.2 million. I do like these deals, like these kind of bets on upside. Like when you got a guy in your building and you're like, that guy, I believe in that guy's upside. These 4-year 12, 4-year 15 deals, they tend to be like really smart moves, smart bets. Keon Ellis on 2 years, $18 million. I like Keon Ellis a lot. I hate this deal. I don't understand what Brooklyn is doing. Their roster makes no sense. But I think if Brooklyn is trying to gather up trade pieces, this is a really smart bet. They're gathering up a group of players that I best qualify as perfect 7th, 8th, 9th guys on the roster. And they're paying them $8 to $10 million. So at some point, I'm assuming a star is going to become available or a sub all-star type of player is going to become available. And they're just going to throw 4 of these guys and a couple picks at it, and they're going to be able to match salaries. This is how I think people would manage a team if they were playing NBA 2K. That's how it, to me, feels like the Brooklyn Nets. There's no rhyme or reason to their roster. It doesn't make sense. Their depth chart is all over the place, but you know what? Whatever. Luke Kennard, who had a really, really good run with the Lakers late, he is gone. The Lakers lose another one. They lose Marcus Smart. They lose Rui Hachimura. Yes, they have lost Rui Hachimura, so Rui Hachimura is still available. And 2 years, $13 million for Luke Kennard to go to Phoenix. I don't hate Phoenix's offseason. They did their work early. Now they're able to, acquire this, I believe, into their mid level. So that's pretty cool. It's a good deal. They get another shooter. Free agent Zach Collins has agreed to a 2-year, $17 million contract extension to stay with the Chicago Bulls. Overpay, if I've ever seen one. Does this make Jalen Smith that much more available? At all available? We'll see. But they have a couple bigs now. I mean, they just traded for Nick Claxton. Now they have Nick Claxton, Jalen Smith. Are they paying $17 million for 2 years for the third string center? Dean Wade, a 4-year, $39 million deal with the Philadelphia 76ers. And the Sixers, obviously, from what I'm understanding, intend to start him at the 4. So now the Sixers lineup after the latest trade with Jaylen Brown will be Tyrese Maxey, VJ Edgecombe, Jaylen Brown, Dean Wade, and Joel Embiid. I know that sounds like a very scary lineup, but I'm going to explain to you why the Sixers are still nowhere near the top of betting odds for championships and what exactly their roster issues are, because there isn't a lot of depth behind those guys, and they've lost a lot of pretty good players. Another deal was Bogdan Bogdanovic, 1-year deal with the Houston Rockets. It is a minimum contract with the Houston Rockets. This one hurt my heart a little bit. I really wanted him. I wanted him on this team. He's a smart, intelligent, good guy, great player. I mean, he's played with Kawhi, really big, one of Kawhi's favorite teammates from what I understood. So it's a little bit confusing that the Raptors didn't do this, and it's making me think that maybe the Raptors need to keep salary. They need to keep some roster spots open, because if you think about where the Raptors roster is right now, I would say it's a little bit top heavy. And if you were able to trade RJ Barrett for 2 to 3 players, if you were able to consolidate that salary into like 3, not only do those salaries become a little bit more movable at the deadline instead of one big lump sum, I would also argue it might balance out your roster with pieces that feel a little bit better, right? Yes. Well, you know what? I'm actually going to suggest something absolutely insane, and you can fry me in the chat. Do you know what this bench desperately needs right now? This bench desperately needs shot creation. You don't have a lot of it. Y'all realize that? You don't have a lot of shot creation off your bench. You have an abundance of shot creation in your starting lineup. You don't have a lot of shot creation off the bench. Is Jamal Shed your shot creator? Is Jacoby your shot creator? Victor Oladipo is not who I was going to suggest, but I do like Victor Oladipo, and another really, really solid person who I think fits the culture of this team. He is open to making an NBA comeback. It's been said. Jordan Clarkson is another really good idea, but this is not exactly where I was going. Are y'all sure you don't know where I'm going? We just reunited with one of our franchise legends. Can I suggest another franchise reuniting? Can I suggest a little bit of Debo off the bench? Can I suggest a little DeMar DeRozan off the bench? If you're worried about the defense, you have the perfect team to insulate him. But offensively, that is a guard. Today we talked a lot on the panel about guard skills. We talked about point guards, forwards, wings, centers, right? And I think you have to think about this like differently. You don't have a lot of proper guards on this team, like complete guards on this team. DeMar may not be a great 3-point shooter in the catch and shoot situation, but he is still a guy who attracts defense. He beat us, by the way, just an FYI. Y'all remember that game where Scotty Barnes had 5 points? DeMar DeRozan whooped our ass in the second half. He can come off the bench if he were open to it, and he's about to get waived by the Sacramento Kings. If he were open to it, I think this would be a nice. It would be a nice fit. Now, I please understand, I'm very aware of the weaknesses of DeMar DeRozan's game, and as a starter, as a max guy, as a $30 million guy, yeah, I get it. But as a guy off the bench, who can come in and give you a little bit of shot creation, a little bit of stability. It would allow you to do so much. If he agreed to come off the bench, I think this is a genius idea. And no, he does not hate Toronto. And I think, again, if you want to win, DeMar DeRozan, come back to Toronto, man. It's a little bit awkward. Yes, we just traded for the guy that you've been like saying you were better than for all those years. But I think if we can just put bygones be bygones, DeMar DeRozan is exactly the guard that you need off the bench. You need a veteran, you need an adult in the room, right? You need a guy who's had playoff reps. You need a guy who can create his own shot. You need a guy who can hit pull up jump shots. You need a guy who can create for others. DeMar DeRozan works really well. Imagine the second unit. Please imagine the second unit. You have Allen Graves. Now imagine there's not just DeMar, and let's just say you also managed to get a Jalen Smith or I don't know, like let's say you absorb a stretch five somehow, you're able to do it. Maybe you get Miles Turner. I don't know. DeMar DeRozan for RJ Barrett for Miles Turner, and then Jacoby Walter moves into the starting lineup. DeMar DeRozan stays on the bench. Miles Turner comes off the bench. There you go. Problem solved. This is a great team. Could you imagine that? Colin Murray Boyles, DeMar DeRozan, and Miles Turner are your bench. Yeah, now you can actually win a championship. I understand these are not perfect players. Miles Turner is not a perfect player. It's not about the player. It's about the fit. It's about what they do on the court. It's about how other players exist off of them, right? You're not asking Miles Turner to come and be a star. You're not asking him to do that. What you're saying is, can you occupy a role as a rim protector and a shot and a floor spacer who's actually guarded out at three that RJ Barrett simply does not? I think this is a smart move. I would do it this way. I don't think the Raptors will do it this way. So these were thoughts. Okay, moving on. I love this deal for the Houston Rockets, and this makes me think Fred VanVleet might be gone. I know I have suggested a lot of what you what you can consider some crazy reunitings. Fred VanVleet is not one of the players that I would be suggesting reuniting with. No, thank you. Someone else can have him for sure. Okay, this is a good deal. This is a good deal for them. John Collins going to Detroit, and thus starts the absolute tumble of the Detroit Pistons, in my humble opinion. John Collins is replacing at this time Isaiah Stewart and Tobias Harris. Tobias Harris is now with the San Antonio Spurs. What? Wait a second. So the best team in the Eastern Conference got worse. The second team in the Eastern Conference just got worse. If you're the Toronto Raptors right now, who are you scared of? And I know what you're saying because, I can kind of hear the chat in my head. Oh, but what about Philly, Rob? What about Philly? Wake me up when Joel Embiid is like not washed. Wake me up when that happens. Wake me up when Jaylen Brown knows how to occupy space without the basketball. Wake me up when Nick Nurse knows how to coach that many big egos. I just don't think so. I don't see it. I don't think the Sixers are a legit title contender. BJ Edgecombe, it's tantalizing, it's talented, and I'm not by any means saying the Celtics won the trade, but please understand there is a reason why. We will talk about Jaylen Brown in a second, but man, it is absolutely insane. Norman Powell going for 2 years, $45 million. The second year of that deal, if I understand it correctly, may not be guaranteed. I think there's something on that. Ariel Huckaporty is going to a 1-year deal with the Philadelphia 76ers to shore up their backup big spot. I actually really like that move for them. No hating. Nikola Vucevic is going back on a 1-year, $3.9 million deal. Homecomings all around. Kawhi to Toronto. That's an all-star. And Nikola Vucevic, people forget, he was an all-star. He's going back to Orlando, the place where he actually became an all-star. Mike Conley. This is another guy that I would have loved to have as a veteran guard off the bench, but obviously we have Jaden Bradley, Chucky Hepburn, Elijah Martin, Jamal Shedd. We have a lot of guards, so I guess we couldn't have him. And he is agreeing to a 1-year minimum contract with the Boston Celtics. This is a good deal for them. Smart organization continues to do smart things. They're getting pretty old, though. And Mo Wagner, a guy that I really did want. He signs to a 2-year, $19 million deal with the Brooklyn Nets. I thought, and again, this is what I thought. I thought he might go for a minimum. I thought he might go for 2 years, $8 million, with the second year not guaranteed. What? Someone said 2 years, 45 for Tobias. Is that the specification of the deal? How are they able to afford that? That doesn't make any sense. I don't think that's right. How were they able to afford that? That's his previous contract. His previous contract was 245. I think his current contract is less, but we'll check when the report comes. Javon Carter, 1 year, pretty much minimum to stay with the Orlando Magic. Javon's a good third string guard. It's pretty cool. They got a lot of guards over there. Mitchell Robinson going to a 3-year, $47 million deal with the Boston Celtics. I got to say, this is a backup big. And something that I've learned a lot, like over the last couple of weeks, is people really distinguish between backup centers and starting centers. And it's not like any other position. It's not like any other position. There's a very specific thing that you need from a starting center, and there's something very specific you need from a backup center. Backup centers tend to be very foul prone, very unplayable in tight moments, either because their decision making is totally lax, they can't shoot, they can't hit free throws, something. There's something very deficient. And they tend to be specialists. Either they're stretch, like Quentin Post, or they're an offensive hustle, defensive guy like this guy, Mitchell Robinson. To pay this amount, 3 years, $47 million for a backup center, I think it's tough because Nimi Keita in his most optimal role is also a backup center. So the Celtics are basically rolling into next season without a starting center. Now, it's worth noting that their backup center, which is Nimi Keita, has outplayed the Toronto Raptors starting center many times, which has made people question, wait, does that mean Nimi Keita is better than Jakob Poeltl? And I think the answer is obviously analytics say yes, but you understand why Jakob Poeltl is paid more because Jakob Poeltl is a starting center. He's not a good starting center at this moment, but he is a starting center. He sets screens. He's offensive rebounds. He's a little bit of a bad free throw shooter, but he's not so bad that they can foul him repeatedly and expect him to miss half the shots. He's good touch around the rim. He's decent defensively. He's connective. He makes like really good. He's heady. Like he is a low-level starting center. And to see what a mid-level starting center like Walker Kessler went for today, that's actually sobering. This is correct. Tobias Harris went for 2 years, $31 million. The Spurs absorbed him into their mid-level exception. I gotta take a drink here for my guy Carter Bryant, who just fell further down into the depth chart. Derek White's second option hoops. I think that's maybe. I don't know if people understand how Brad Stevens is going to play that Paul George contract, but I'll guarantee you that contract gets flipped within a year. And that's when the Celtics would be looking to extract value. So they'll be able to use Paul George is expiring next year or at the deadline for, and plus like a whole bunch of picks, and they'll probably get their next star. At which point you'll say, why don't you just keep Jaylen Brown? And I think what they would tell you is what I'll tell you in about 5 minutes when we get to the Jaylen Brown news. This one is shocking. I think this is ridiculous. I said this on ESPN's IKD's stream or Twitter Spaces. I think this is ridiculous. This is irresponsible by Rob Pelinka, in my humble opinion. On the one hand, you are paying a very often injured, admittedly young. You know, I didn't realize, but I thought Walker Kessler was like 25, 26. He's 24, yet to turn 25. So he is a talented, very young guy who can shoot. He's okay as a passer. He's very good as a screener, roller, rim protector. He's a vertical guy at the rim. He's huge. Like he's a mammoth of a man. Like we've all seen him, 7'1". So you get the value of guys who are true starting centers. And this is what a starting center goes for in the NBA, unfortunately. So you look at a guy like Donovan Clingan, you look at a guy like Zach Edey, and you start to wonder, is that a starting center? And I think this is just changing my frame of reference because often I will look at how GMs are looking at things and I'll change my own evaluation because if it's valuable to them, I have to wonder, why is it valuable? And then I start to project and I'm like, oh, I get it. It's a scarcity thing. You don't have a lot of centers who can play two-way, who are not overtly negative one way. The theory of Jakob Poeltl is an amazing top 12, 13 center. Now, the reality of it was back issues, shooting issues, health issues, et cetera, et cetera. But the reality of it is you don't often find bigs as complete as Jakob Poeltl. Again, they usually have issues catching the ball, or they can't make a pass, or they can't set screens without fouling, or they're overly foul prone, or they're overly turnover prone, or they have touch issues, or they can't shoot free throws, or they can't stretch the floor. And it's like with Jakob Poeltl, yeah, he can't stretch the floor, and people harp on that all day. But I really believe that Jakob Poeltl's fair value is probably closer to 16 to 18 million dollars, and he's overpaid like $8 million. And yet there are players like Trae Young, who, in my opinion, are probably overpaid by 15 million, $20 million, and their fan bases don't care that much. So I think, maybe as Raptor fans, we need to chill out a little bit on how we value our players, because I don't, even Emmanuel Quickly, like, yeah, he's overpaid. How much is he overpaid though? Based on what we saw in terms of like what guys went for today, how much is Emmanuel Quickly actually overpaid? I would tell you the analytics, if he's healthy, he's probably fairly valued about $23-24 million. So once again, another $8 million overpay. So now if Scotty Barnes and Kawhi Leonard combined are, I don't know, $25 million underpaid, and then if Colin Murray Boyles is probably like $20 million underpaid because he's on a rookie deal and he's easily one of the best defenders in the NBA, in my opinion, right now, like you kind of see the vision for like a roster kind of balancing out, right? Wife went out and Rob on TV on PC. Returns and Rob live. Wait, what? Oh, that's so funny because you were watching Player's Choice. Do you know what's crazy? I didn't read wife went out. For some reason, I read Will Lou went out and Rob on TV. And I was like, what? And I was just scanning it out of the corner of my eye and I was like, Will Lou called me out on TV? What? Okay. Razor said Jakob is very overpaid, in my opinion. Overpaid is what people are willing to pay for it. So again, I'm not trying to make you feel better about it. It's definitely a bad deal, but how much is he overpaid is the question, right? It's possible that you overpaid for a pizza because you really wanted it, but how much did you overpay for? It was a $20 pizza. Did you pay $25 or did you pay $55? Like if you pay $55, you really got hoodwinked. But if you paid $25, that's a pretty small premium, right? To not have to deal with it. So again, I think Jakob's back issues and the fact that he doesn't play with an actual point guard who can shoot, and some of the Raptors spacing issues and stuff, I think that kind of compounded the issues now. Now, yeah. Someone said Bill Simmons needs a wellness check. Yeah. Q-Man said, Penn, do you think the Raptors should go after Gogo Batase? I absolutely do. You lose one Georgian, go after the other Georgian. Anyways, I think this is very irresponsible. Now, here's what I would have done if I was the Lakers. Honestly, here's what I would have done. I would have, if I knew that Danny Ainge was going to play this brand of hardball, right? What I would have done is I would have signed Walker Kessler to $40 million and declined the contract down, right? So a descending contract starting at 40 or 41 million or whatever the max was, and then just trust that the Utah Jazz are not going to sit in cap hell because they already have two max contracts. Instead, obviously, now Danny Ainge can play hardball because then he can wait 4 days to not match the offer, by which point maybe the Lakers miss out on Sandro Mamukelashvilli and all those people because you have to wait. This is why restricted free agency is such a joke. This is why, Case and Wallace and all these guys are a little bit, like they're in a bad situation, because if you go to restricted free agency and you sign an offer sheet, your team that owns your rights to match rights can wait 4 or 5 days, therefore screwing over the other team, and the other team doesn't know are they going to match or not. So I'm thinking if I'm Rob Pelinka, I play 4D chess. I say, I know you don't want this guy for 30 million. I'm going to sign him for 40 million. And that way I can keep the picks. I don't need to do the sign and trade if I keep the picks, right? So I just think it was a little bit dumb. I don't understand it. I'll read more about it later, but to me, it feels like a massive overpay. And if you're thinking like, oh my God, $40 million, Walker Kessler hoops, dude, 2 future first round picks when your future is not certain. Luka might not be on the team and you don't have a lot of young talent. And Austin Reeves is 28 years old. Like those picks could be very, very valuable. And Walker Kessler ain't it, dude. Like he has health concerns of his own. And also, like, some people joking about the Lakers being the Snowtown Lakers. Shout outs, man. That's crazy. Speaking of the Snowtown Lakers, they signed Sandro Mamukelashvili to a 4-year, $52 million deal. So as I understand it, Walker Kessler and Sandro Mamukelashvili were both, They were absorbed into the existing cap space that was vacated by LeBron leaving. Then they sign Quentin Grimes to a 4-year, $60 million deal. So the terms on Sandro were 4 years, $52 million. That breaks down to $13 million a year. That is right around the estimate. Now, what's kind of funny is if the Toronto Raptors had signed Sandro Mamukelashvilli to a 4-year, $52 million, everyone here would have said they overpaid. I think people would have screamed that they overpaid. Am I wrong? Am I wrong? Y'all think that's an overpay? I think a lot of people would have said that was an overpay. We move forward. Yeah. See, there you go. I am wrong. Okay, cool. People would have said he was worth 8. I think so. I think so. And honestly, I think he was worth around 10. 10 to 12, I think is a fair range. I think they got a fair deal. 13 is very lightly overpaid. A guy that I really did want, Quentin Grimes, and they signed all the guys that I would have wanted for this team for sure, because ironically, it's actually not that difficult to build it's not that dissimilar to build a roster from Scotty Barnes to Luka Doncic. You kind of need all the same pieces because in both cases you have like a nail playmaker. So Quentin Grimes goes for 4 years, 60 million. You will remember Scotty Barnes telling Quentin Grimes when he was a New York Knick, "You is not him." Well, now he is him because he has a $60 million deal played last year with the Sixers. If you're keeping count, the Sixers have now lost Jared McCain and Quentin Grimes and Paul George and gotten back Jaylen Brown. Ugh, honestly, they're not that much better, dude. People are gassing it a little bit. The Celtics definitely got worse. I don't think the Sixers got that much better though. Okay, 2 years, $19 million deal for Colin Sexton with the Lakers. I really like this deal. It's a good deal. Good for him. We have D'Anthony Melton on a 2-year, $11 million deal back to the Golden State Warriors. The Warriors continue to be on LeBron watch. LeBron is expanding his teams. Would you guys want LeBron back on the Raptors? Just let me know. Would you guys want LeBron back on the Raptors? Is there some part of you that wants LeBron back on the Raptors? I mean, it's something worth thinking about. Um, Elijah Martin signs a 2-year, $4.8 million deal to return to the Toronto Raptors, and he was on a two-way. They did not convert it last year. So, Elijah shot, I think, 41% from three in the G League last year. He was a he was not one of my guys at the draft at all. I didn't see the upside, but he is an older guy. He is almost 25 years old right now. And this is him sort of approaching his athletic prime. He's developed a lot. Okay, from what I understand, from people who cover the G League more closely than I do, because I didn't watch every single G League game, but I know people who do, and they covered the G League very closely, and they said he was amazing. He was too good for the G League. Maybe this is your Fred VanVleet. Maybe this is your, Norman Powell, Fred VanVleet hybrid. Maybe this is that guy that can be your guard off the bench. I don't see it because I don't think he's a natural guard. I actually think he's more of a wing in a guard's body. And that's kind of like how I feel about Emmanuel Quickley, RJ Barrett. Do you know what I mean? Like, we kind of have a few too many. Like, can we get a guard in a wing's body? Like, that would be great. Scotty Barnes. That's awesome. So, I don't know. Someone said, never took you for a rosé guy. Does this look like rosé to you? This is beer, dude. Rosé? No, sir. Rosé on Canada Day? No, this is beer. This is Canadian beer. Canadian made, proud Canadian beer. Come on now. Okay. Got you. Someone said sign Bronny. Should I just jump off a cliff? Yup. Someone said it's apple juice. It is definitely not apple juice. Okay, I really like this deal, and I would have loved for Kelly Oubre to sign with the Raptors. I think he's the type of wing that you desperately need off the bench. That, frankly, one you don't have. 2 years, $17 million to sign with the Indiana Pacers. This is the steal of the day. This is the best move, in my opinion, that was done today. This or the Colin Sexton move. I think those are really smart signings. Okay, Tobias Harris, 2 years, $31 million to go to the San Antonio Spurs. The Spurs were just in the NBA Finals, and now they have added the one piece that everyone said they didn't have, which is a proper power forward next to Victor Wembanyama who can space out and shoot. They also extended Julian Champagnie, and if you're looking at this team right now, I mean, Carter Bryant, shit, like get to work, bro, because you are very, very much third string right now. And Tobias Harris is very much a win now move. This is a bet on the current core. This is a bet on, Wemby getting better. This is also a bet on, De'Aaron Fox and those guys staying still because, you dig yourself a little bit further into the cap, but it's not a big bet. It's a 2-year bet. Next year, if it doesn't work out, it's just an expiring contract for $16 million. You maybe package it with something else. And it's a good deal. I actually think this is one of the best deals as well. And here comes the blockbuster. The Boston Celtics have traded Jaylen Brown to the Philadelphia 76ers for Paul George, 2 first-round picks, and 2 second-round picks. The picks are 2028, the first-round pick that could convert from a first to a swap that is more favorable to Boston. 2031 is unprotected. The Sixers' first in 2031 is unprotected. It's a 2028 second round, most favorable of Golden State, OKC, and Milwaukee, and the 2030 second round pick, most favorable of Washington, Portland, and Phoenix. Okay, how are we feeling about the Jaylen Brown thing? Let's see what Shams Charania had to say about this.
On a blockbuster, what do you got?
Sources tell me the Boston Celtics have traded all-NBA star 2024 Finals MVP Jaylen Brown to the Philadelphia 76ers for Paul George, 2 first-round picks, and 2 second-round picks. So think about it if you're Philadelphia. To get Jaylen Brown in the prime of his career at 30 years old for a player in Paul George who has been looked at different points as a negative contract, you are sending out 2 future first-round picks. You're sending out a couple second-round assets. But now you have Tyrese Maxey, VJ Edgecombe, Jaylen Brown, and the way Jaylen Brown has been playing, you would think he has multiple years, 3, 4, 5, 6 years left in his prime. Pair that.
How many players do you know that have primes that extend till 36? That's what I would like to know. When people talk like this, they get people hyped up. How many people do you know that were still in their prime at 36?
With a young Tyrese Maxey, pair that with a young VJ Edgecombe. And for the Celtics, where this had come down to is they tried to trade for Giannis. They offered Jaylen Brown and 2 unprotected first-round picks for Giannis. They missed out. But ever since then, you know what's been interesting? They didn't just stop the conversations there. They continued to have trade talks. And by today, they were actively shopping, full-blown shopping Jaylen Brown around the league, trying to get teams' best offers in. My understanding is Jaylen Brown, throughout all of this, never requested a trade. He never asked out of Boston. This was all the Celtics. We'll learn more. This is obviously a very developing story, but Jaylen Brown is leaving the Boston Celtics. He will now be in Kevin Nagandi's with their 76ers.
Okay, so I'll continue back on that, circle back on that for a second. Santi Aldama is going to the Dallas Mavericks. Masai Ujiri's trading for Santi Aldama with Mike Schmitz, AJ Johnson, and a protected 2030 Warriors first-round pick and 2 future second-round picks. The pick is protected top 20, if I'm not mistaken. And, okay, yes. So Dallas acquires a versatile forward. The deal allows Grizzlies to preserve the full $29 million trade exception from the Jaren Jackson trade, which otherwise would have been reduced by their earlier offseason dealings. So they're sending there is a trade exception that they were able to use, basically. And the Mavericks are also acquiring the draft rights to Tariq. And the Warriors pick in 2030 is protected 1 through 20, then turns into a second if not conveyed. So that's a very low value first round pick. I would argue I actually would have been really excited if the Raptors had made a trade for Santi Aldama. It seems like the Memphis Grizzlies have completely stripped down that entire team that was there a few years ago. Ja gone, Dylan Brooks gone, Desmond Bain gone, Jaren Jackson gone. They just stripped it apart, and they got a ton of picks for it. I would argue that I think Santi Aldama had more value than this, but I understand the context of last season. He just wasn't as great, and at one point I had a lot more belief in Santi, and I can tell you Darko is a very, very big fan of Santi. So, they did get Beef Stew, for 3 second round picks. That was great. Mavs fan 06 said, but the analytics hate Santi. Well, we can check on that too. I maybe have not watched as much Grizzlies basketball. It's the one team that I've been sort of blind on the last year because I didn't watch them very much last year. I maybe watched 10, 12 games of them last year. So maybe I need to watch a little bit more Santi Aldama. For sure. Rest in peace, Brandon Clark, 100%. So, okay. This is a good deal, I think, for the Mavericks. It's a fine deal for the Mavericks. They get a serviceable big. He can shoot a little bit. He's talented. He's still pretty young. He's from that 2021 draft, which produced, Scotty Barnes and Cade Cunningham. So, and for the Grizzlies side, they get to preserve that traded player exception. They take very little money back. They basically, this is a salary dump for them, and they're able to extract something of a pick out of it. I'm surprised they couldn't get more, but maybe a lot of analytics people don't like Santi Aldama, and maybe I should adjust my frame and watch him a little bit more closely. But it's just my read on it. I've always felt Santi Aldama was a pretty decent backup big. So moving forward, let's go back to this Jaylen Brown news, right? And just kind of figure out what happened here to crater the value. Now, I'm going to argue that there's about 8, 9, at most 9, but usually like closer to 5, 6 players that are worth exponentially more than the max contract. That's your Jokic, Wemby, Shea, Luka, Giannis. That's it. That's really it. Kawhi, Tatum. That's it. That's the whole list right now. I don't feel like expanding it further to a healthy Embiid or whatever. But yes, if Embiid did not have health issues, he would be in that list too. It's a pretty talented league we're in. Those players are worth a lot more than the max. Am I missing someone? Cade? Nope. Curry? I mean, from a marketing perspective, yes, but he doesn't play enough anymore. Scotty Barnes? No. Scotty's worth a little bit more than the max. Maybe you could stretch it. You could say Scotty's worth, he makes 41. You could say he's worth maybe 45, 50, 55. But I'm talking like straight up fair market. Giannis, no, like Jokic, LeBron in his prime, these guys are worth so much more. So why are they worth so much more? I think there's something about superstars where there's like a lack of variance in their game. There's like a floor. There's like a very safe floor of what they provide. Someone said Brunson. I mean, come on now. Anthony Edwards for sure. No, I don't think Anthony Edwards is worth, like, he might, in an absolute free market, Anthony Edwards might get twice the max. Sure. He would get a little bit more than Scotty Barnes for sure. Cade is worth the max. I didn't say he's not worth the max. All these guys are worth the max. I'm saying, are you worth exponentially more than the max? Like, are you worth double the max, triple the max? Are you like an unquantifiable basketball source? Do you know what I mean? Like, if it was possible to pay you $200 million a year, would I pay you $200 million a year? Right? This is the point. Jaylen Brown is not one of those players. Pascal Siakam is not one of those players. Brandon Ingram is not one of those players. Devin Booker is not one of those players. De'Aaron Fox is not one of those players. But they get paid the same as the top end players. If you look down, Lisa, that's a great example. That guy is not worth a max at all. He's worth significantly less. Wemby is worth much more than a max. If a team right now, okay, let's play it out hypothetically. I mean, hypotheticals are great. Play it out, and we will throw every single player into a free agency, and you just get to sign your team brand new. But guess what? This time, there's no cap on how much you can actually pay for a player. You have a salary cap, which is to say you still can only pay $200 million as your max salary. How much are you paying for Wemby? I think there's a team that's going to be willing to pay around $160 for him. And then they're going to fill out the rest of their roster with $40 million. What does he make right now? He makes $15 million. Do you know the gap between 160 and 15. It's 100. You know what I mean? Like $140. It's almost like $140 million is the gap in perceived value, real value versus paid value. Okay. Now do the same thing with Cade. What's the max anyone's paying him in a capless structure, in a where max contracts don't exist? There's nothing called max contract. You can pay player whatever you want. It's a free market. I don't think a team is paying Cade more than 75. That's not, he's making what, almost 50? That's not significantly more. Brunson, what is Brunson worth in this? Do you think Brunson is worth over $100 million? No. I think a team might sign him for like 70. But once again, he almost makes 40. So it's not that much more. It's more because he's good, but it's not that much more. Peak AD, for sure. I think peak AD would probably cap in around 120. I think Michael Jordan, in his prime, probably like 175, 180 in a $200 million cap. Oh my God, 180? Yeah. Give me Michael Jordan. Give me like minimum contracts. Guys want to play with him. Peak LeBron, for sure. Peak LeBron might, he might get 170, 180 as well. Peak Kareem. These guys are different. So from the perspective of Kawhi and Jaylen Brown, that's the gap. The gap is one of these guys in an absolute free market is worth that much more. Now, I'm not going to say that Kawhi is worth 160, 170, 180, like those top guys. Number one, he's older. Number two, he's got durability issues. He's not Giannis value. He's not Shea value. He's not Jokic value. He's not Wemby value. But whatever the hell is the league below that, that's where he is. He isn't like that. I'm right there, but there's things that are on my resume that you might not like. I'm right there, though. I'm like right there. In a series, I will beat the shit out of those guys. In a series, I will outplay Shea. In a series, I might outplay Jokic. But in a series, I might outplay Luka. But I may not carry you all the way there. I may not be available for more than 60 games in a year. So there's something to that. So, but Jaylen Brown, who makes almost $58 million, what do you think Jaylen Brown goes for in a capless league? Honestly, bro, I think he goes for 35, 40, max 40. So at 60, going past 30, you have to think of this value structure very differently. Very differently. Very differently. And I don't need to explain to Raptor fans what the difference is between an all-NBA guy and a superstar. Superstar is a Kawhi. An all-NBA guy is DeMar. You understand what happened with DeMar? Now, Jaylen Brown, you could argue maybe he's better than DeMar. You could argue that. Although I think, honestly, Raptors DeMar might be getting slept on at this point. Jaylen Brown, better defender. But honestly, like, he's got warts, man. He's got real warts in his game. He's definitely like focusing a lot of attention on this podcasting thing. And honestly, bro, like people were saying, like, do you want the Raptors to go after Jaylen Brown? And I kept saying, nah, bro, I'm good. I'm good off that. You got everything in the world you want. You play for a historic franchise. You play in a really good North American city. You have an amazing co-star. You have a really good front office. You have a lot of depth around you. You won Finals MVP. It's literally the most iconic organization. You make tons of money. They paid you tons of money. In order to pay you your tons of money, everybody else got shipped out to clear out way for you. And now you play with a whole bunch of, like lesser guys. And it's not like you haven't performed to make that money. Don't get me wrong. Jaylen Brown earned his money. My point is, he's still always salty. He's always complaining about like, oh, I don't get my credit. I don't get this. And I feel like that's kind of what annoys me about him. Now, is it fair that he's always in trade rumors? Someone I once spoke to said, if you're an NBA player, take it as a compliment that you're always in trade rumors. It means people want you, right? So, no, I really didn't. I do not want Jaylen Brown on this team. Because I
personally find Jaylen Brown to be a pretty self-involved player. I'm avoiding using the term selfish because I think it has too much of a negative connotation, but I think he's a little too self-involved. And I don't think a championship washes that away. Jordan Poole won a championship. You want Jordan Poole? Players have won championships, even been really good on championship teams. It doesn't mean like all the flaws that are inherent in the games don't just wash away. I don't think he's great. I don't think he's great. I don't think he's worth anything close to 57 million. And so it's kind of like the variable. Now, on a given night, Kawhi can play like a $200 million player or $170 million player. In a given playoff series or a playoff run like 2019, he can give you the same value as like a 180 player. He can give you Kawhi's absolute apex as a basketball player is every bit as high as the all-time greats. Larry, Magic, Bird, those guys. Okay. I'll say if Kawhi Leonard doesn't get hurt in like 2017, 2018, you're probably talking about a top 10 player of all time. I'll remind you where we were in 2016. We were saying Kawhi Leonard, is he the second best player in the world? That was really going on. It's a top three. Is it LeBron? Is it Kawhi? Is it KD? Or is it Steph? This was the whole conversation. Those four guys. That was the best players in the world. He wasn't that old at that point. He was 25, 26 years old. He was a legend in the making. And I feel like those injuries kind of derailed him a little bit. And in 2019, like I think we all remember 2019, people said he was the best player in the world. Is this the best player in the world? Yeah, Kawhi Leonard is the best player in the world. People said it. This is the best playoff run I've seen since Michael Jordan. This is better than anything LeBron has ever done. So, okay, cool. That is the reality of Kawhi Leonard. I'm saying on a bad night, Kawhi Leonard is still like a $40 million player. When his shot's not going in and he's kind of being lazy defensively and he's turning the ball over and he's kind of dialed out of it, he's still like providing you a safe floor of like a $40 million player. When Jaylen Brown is having like a really bad shooting stretch or like a really, like particularly turnover prone game, he honestly plays like a mid-level player. The variance is pretty big. So I think Kawhi, Scotty, and CMB set an awesome floor for a basketball team. And I think floors are important. Floors allow you to compete. Floors allow you to keep games close. A floor is, generally speaking, what can I bank on you to do on a Tuesday? And what you can bank on this Raptors team to do on any given Tuesday is frankly be incredibly disruptive, very disciplined, very intelligent. This is a very intelligent basketball team, very hardworking. Someone was asking me today, like, I think it was on the Twitter Spaces. They were saying, like, do you think Kawhi's going to get along with these guys? Like, he's so stoic and he's so serious. And I'm like, dude, like, Kawhi is a joker. Like, Kawhi is funny. Kawhi lets loose with people he knows. Kawhi does not let loose with random strangers and the media. But, he's just a fun guy. Like, he's not kidding when he said that. He is, like, I didn't mean to say it that way, but he is a funny guy. Like, apparently, I've heard a lot of stories. One of my really good friends coached Kawhi Leonard in high school. And, like this is just a really down-to-earth guy who just loves basketball. That's the best way to describe him. He lives to hoop. He lives in the gym. He loves basketball. He loves his family, loves basketball. That's literally all of it. Loves family, loves basketball, doesn't go to clubs, not, getting involved with the wrong people, keeps his head, he's a perfect professional, shows up to practice on time. Some people say he's a diva because, he doesn't want to give you a big quote or give you the big sit-down interview, but that's because it doesn't operate within what he wants to do, which is he wants to spend time with his family, and then he wants to go play basketball, and then he wants to go win championships. You know what I mean? Like, that's just... And this team is so built around that, right? Like Jamal Shead, Jacoby Walter, you think he's going to have to walk into practice and be like, hey, young fella, you're going to have to defend. Nope, you don't have to do that. So I think Kawhi... if you're someone, and I said this on Esfandiar Barhini's post, if you're someone who's sitting here saying like, man, the Toronto Raptors really, I didn't know the value on Jaylen Brown was so low that we could have gotten him. Maybe we should have traded for Jaylen Brown instead of Kawhi Leonard. Here's what we've heard today. Apparently, the Boston Celtics did not take the offer, or sorry, the Pelicans did not take the offer for Jaylen Brown for Trey Murphy straight up. with one pick attached. Like, so the Boston Celtics were asking for one pick, if I recall correctly. So it's Trey Murphy plus a pick for Jaylen Brown. And the Pelicans said no. So where does that leave us vis-a-vis the actual value of Jaylen Brown? What is it about Jaylen Brown that makes people feel like he's not on that level? I think it's his game. Honestly, I think it's his game. I think it's his game. I think it's his scalability. I think it's the efficiency. I think it's the analytics. It's so many things. But all else, it's also the podcasting. It's the extracurriculars. It's the random social media shit. All of it. It's a distraction. Kawhi Leonard does not have social media. Kawhi Leonard has never thought of leveraging his brand into Instagram followers and Twitter followers. Kawhi Leonard doesn't do Twitch streams. Kawhi Leonard is not sitting here doing podcast interviews, dishing on all his teammates like he's a little girl. Kawhi Leonard, as I said, just wants to spend time with his family, spend time with his kid, love his wife, hang out with his uncle, plant some trees, and frankly, play some basketball. That's all the man wants to do. Dude, there better not be any trees in that backyard, bro. There better not be any trees in that backyard. But you get what I'm saying. So to anybody out there who's thinking like, okay, maybe we should have gone for Jaylen Brown, I'll ask you one very important question. Would you trade right now? The Sixers call, ring, ring, Bobby Webster. Can we give you Jaylen Brown for Kawhi Leonard? Are you saying yes? Are you saying yes to a 30-year-old Jaylen Brown for a 35-year-old Kawhi Leonard? Go ahead. Let me know in the chat. Jaylen Brown or Kawhi Leonard? Just say JB, KL. What you got? JB or KL? We got nah. We got hell no. 50-50. You're banned. You're dead to me. 50-50. My God. I'm trying to find one person who will give me Jaylen Brown. That's one person right there. Yikes. Someone said throw in Maxey. Okay, we got some super chats. Let's read them real quick. Ali Gamma. Dope name. Is it crazy if we go all in and trade for Dillon Brooks? No, that's not crazy at all. Dillon Brooks is a hooper. He takes a lot of shots, though, that I don't really love, but he is absolutely one of those guys that like changes your competitive fire. I don't know what you mean by all in, though. Are you talking about trading picks, like a whole bunch of picks? Or are you talking about trading RJ's like expiring? Edu05 with 249 euros said Warriors might trade Quentin Post if you want him. I wouldn't mind, actually. Quentin Post is pretty great. Pretty great for a backup big stretch 5. That would be cool. The Sir Ma'am said, it is genuinely crazy how every team has been basically saving everything for the Giannis trade. How? I'm not entirely sure that's true, but I do understand it. Giannis had a lot of suitors, and then, when he shrank it down. But it is interesting to know, like, Giannis is also 30 plus, right? Like, how old's Giannis? 31? 32? It's close. He's older. And Jaylen Brown's around the same age. And Jaylen Brown played on a level that could have granted him first team All-NBA last year. And Giannis barely played at all. It's kind of interesting to know that the Milwaukee Bucks took the Celtics offer of Jaylen Brown and 2 first-round picks unprotected and told him to piss off. Not close. ESPN's Zach KD said, thoughts on Kevin Love, Marvin Bagley, Musa Cisse, Andre Drummond, some of them in backup 5 targets, the little money the Raptors have left. Of those, I only like Marvin Bagley. That is the one. He is the one. Now, he is unfortunately always tagged as a bit of a bust, and he kind of suffers from the Kwame Brown thing, right? When you're first overall, second overall, third overall pick, unfortunately, when you don't become what you're supposed to become, you become like a bit of a red flag. Like, it's almost like you're walking like a red flag. Like, that guy didn't do what he was supposed to do, so he's bad. Marvin Bagley's actually turned himself into a very serviceable role player, and I actually think he would be phenomenal for this team. I want to tread carefully on the word phenomenal. I'm not expecting miracles, but he would be really good. He's very serviceable. Mavs fan 06 said, "Why are the Raptors contenders? Don't be a biased fan." That's a good question. So why are the Toronto Raptors contenders? Well, let me show you something. Mavs fan 06. Are you salty? Hang on. Okay. First of all, appreciate the super chat. But I do want to show y'all something because actually, what the hell am I doing? Why am I pulling it up on my phone like a noob when I can just show you here? Hang on. So these are the championship odds before the Jaylen Brown trade. Admittedly, the Raptors are still kind of in the same place, but where the hell are we? Here. These were the championship odds this afternoon. These are the NBA Finals winners odds. So, Mavs fan 06. Am I biased or is Vegas biased? As for why do I think the Toronto Raptors are contenders? Simple. I think they have the best two-man. They have the best two-way duo in the NBA. Both of these guys are demons defensively. I think Scottie is an amazing offensive player. I think Kawhi is one of the greatest offensive players of all time. If these guys ball as hard as they did last year and Kawhi is able to make Scottie even more efficient, honestly, I think this is the best two-way duo in the league. Look, man, we talked about it on Players' Choice. This is the closest thing we have ever seen in the NBA to Michael and Scottie. Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen, not Michael Scott and Scottie Bum. Like Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen, this is the closest thing you're going to see to it. I'm not sitting here trying to tell you go get season tickets because I'm not really for MLSE right now. Like I'm not really like promoting, the Raptors in that way. But man, I hope you guys get a chance to check out a game this year. The vibes are back. Like that's crazy. Van 2979 said, Jaylen Brown is going to have an insane revenge tour. I don't doubt it. What I do doubt and what I have questions about is how much winning is it going to lead to for the Philadelphia 76ers. But he's a very prideful and very proud individual, which I do appreciate. He's a very hardworking person as well. I just think he's a severely limited basketball player. But he has gotten better. This might be a DeMar DeRozan type of situation. Like if DeMar DeRozan was a better defender, he'd be Jaylen Brown to me. If DeMar DeRozan could take some of his isolation scoring skills, like scoring package, and turn it into defensive aggression and talent and vertical pop, he would be Jaylen Brown. There, now that's accurate. Raptor guy 86 said Kawhi is the exact opposite of Carmelo Anthony. No, friend, he is not. But I do understand what you're saying. But I'm going to disagree just a little bit because I do love me some Melo hoops, man. Carmelo Anthony was one of the best collegiate basketball players I've ever seen in my life. I watched Carmelo in person when he was in high school. So I have a long list of memories of Carmelo Anthony, including, by the way, Carmelo was supposed to be a Toronto Raptor. People don't remember that. The Raptors walked into the 2003 draft with literally the number 3 odds, and they moved down to number 4. And I was thinking, like, it's going to be LeBron, it's going to be Darko Milicic, or it's going to be Carmelo. I'm thinking, like, we might move up. We might stay at 3, but it's probably going to be 3. And I sold myself on this idea that Carmelo Anthony was coming to Toronto to join Vince Carter. And then we moved down to 4, and I was like, oh, man, we got Chris Bosh. Little did I know, Dwayne Wade was right there, and I watched Dwayne Wade at Marquette too. I didn't realize he was going to be this good. So, yeah, I don't think he's the exact opposite of Carmelo Anthony. They actually have a ton in common, actually. They're both phone booth scorers, both heavy mid-range guys. I think the difference is obviously the defense and the efficiency. I think that's a big difference. Both clutch guys, like very, very clutch players down the stretch, very hard to stop, very physical. I don't think they're opposites. If you want to look at the opposite of Kawhi Leonard in the same package, you might want to look at someone like Rudy Gay, someone like that. What is the exact opposite of now I'm really thinking about it. Like, what is the exact opposite of Kawhi Leonard? It would have to be a movement shooter who's a big, who doesn't play defense. You know, like a purely off-ball player who doesn't play defense. That would be like the definitional opposite. I compare so Raptors guy 86 again with I compare Marvin Bagley to Joe Smith. Joe was the first overall pick and never an all-star, but he had a solid career. That's a really good comparison. I like that. That's cool. Yeah, Joe ended up becoming, Derek Coleman's another guy. He didn't quite materialize to that like all-time level, but he was very serviceable. He's very good. Another one would be Rafe LaFrentz, third overall. Very solid pro, but not like there are busts who never find a way to make it work, right? Tyson Chandler was the second overall pick. Did he produce second overall pick value? No. Marcus Camby was the second overall pick. Did he bring up second overall pick value? No, not even close. Not even close. But he was absolutely a cog on a winning team. Mamukelashvilli is a bust. Okay, that's the definition of a bust. Jan Vesely, who, God bless his soul, my sister knows him, great guy, awesome, played in Serbia, awesome guy, but he was a bust, sixth overall for the Washington Wizards. Andrea Bargnani, I love Andrea. I loved Andrea as a prospect, seen him live, thought he was amazing, seen him as a rookie, thought he was amazing. He's probably closer to a bust, and I think he would acknowledge that if you talk to him about it. Like, he would probably say, yeah, like, I get it. I didn't live up to it. Adam Morrison, the epitome of a bust. Adam Morrison, the biggest bust, one of the biggest busts. People never talk about him, but that's because he didn't go first overall. But if the Raptors had picked Adam Morrison and then he didn't shower for 2 years, my God. So yeah, that's a bust. But I have to actually say I have a really soft spot in my heart for people like Kwame Brown, who get drafted first overall because somebody projects something in them that isn't there, like Kwame Brown is the next Kevin Garnett. Believe me, I remember that article because I read it. And in 2000, yeah, it didn't happen. But I mean, you watch the highlights, you see the guy in high school, he's dunking over everybody. You see glimmers of it. You don't see his hands. You don't see the misses. You don't see the free throw shooting. And you're like, okay, I guess he is Kevin Garnett. Michael Jordan cooking with this first overall pick. And then, of course, everyone's sitting there like, should it be Eddie Curry? Should it be Tyson Chandler? Or should it be Kwame Brown going first overall? And then next thing you know, third overall pick was who? Does anyone remember who the third overall pick in that draft was? Trivia time. Who was it? Who was the third overall pick in that horrible, horrible draft that produced no real top pick? Anthony Bennett. Wrong answer. Way off. Who was the third overall pick in the draft that I'm currently talking about? Don't look it up, though. If you know it, you know it. Kwame Brown. Nope. He was the first overall pick. Yeah, Valanciunas is going to yes. Thank you. Mark, it's Pau Gasol. Pau Gasol was the third overall pick to Memphis. So, you think it's either Kwame Brown or people were shocked that Eddie Curry went down to 4. And then, of course, number 2 initially belonged to the Clippers. They traded it to the Bulls so they could use it for Tyson Chandler, and they traded away Elton Brand. Elton Brand was a better player overall than probably Tyson Chandler, Kwame Brown, and Eddie Curry. Elton Brand was awesome for a while, but even Elton Brand didn't live up to the full hype of being an, like a full-time, like first overall pick. Like, he didn't lead a team to championships. And again, this is where I say, like, disingenuous, right? Michael Olowokandi, Elton Brand, these guys, totally different levels of failure, right? But as I say, with Marvin Bagley, he's reinvented himself. He's found a way. He's found a way. What did Ian Malcolm say in Jurassic Park? Life found a way. Yeah, Marvin found a way, right? Someone said Luka is better than Coop. Yes, he's way better than Cooper Flag. Mavs fan 06 said, I don't think Scotty's top 15 in my humble opinion. It's cool. You can definitely think that. I think he's top 12, honestly. Top 12, top 13. And he's getting better. So, like, I mean, it's possible Scotty's a top 10 player next year and Kawhi's a top 10 player next year. Man, that would be great. Imagine if the Raptors had 2 top 10 players next year. And I'm supposed to be afraid of the Philadelphia 76ers. Okay. in terms of what the Raptors desperately need, they desperately need to fill out their guard room with a little bit more experience and a little bit more pull-up jump shooting. I do want to hammer home on the point about guards, wings, forwards, and centers. Does anyone here play baseball? Does anyone here play soccer? Other sports, weirdly enough, it's a little bit easier to understand this stuff. If you've ever played baseball on any level and you played first base, and then someone asked you to switch to second base, or if you play football and you're typically a striker and they ask you to play midfield, there's like a really big adjustment period where you kind of feel like a fish out of water. And people think that positions in basketball are very interchangeable, and they're really not. It's probably because the players move around a lot more than in other sports. Like there's like a formation in hockey, and even though there's a bit of a scramble and guys can end up all over the place, like we know that defensemen have a different role. Whereas in basketball, it's 5 players. So it's not like, okay, that's a linebacker, that's a fullback, that's a quarterback. We're not really doing that. Like we're not positionally defining players. Anyone can do anything. Guards can bring it up, bigs can bring it up, guards can pull up threes, bigs can pull up threes. But in terms of the organization of the offense, not necessarily where it ends, but where it starts, I do think it matters what position you naturally play. And I do think that it matters that you have the skill sets to satisfy that position. I think that guards need to be able to, on some level, dictate tempo, organize offense, handle pressure, bring up the ball, make passes, utilize screeners, spot advantages, push tempo. Pull up is ideal. Pressure the rim, collapse the paint, get 2 feet in the paint. There's like a set checklist of everything that a guard should be able to do. There's also things that wings need to be able to do. They need to be able to handle the ball a little bit against pressure. They need to be able to crash for offensive and defensive rebounds. They need to be able to switch down and up in the offense and defense. They should be probably more positionally versatile. Think about Scottie Pippen. Basically, everything Scottie Pippen did, that's what a wing should be able to do. When you think about a guard, think about guys like Rod Strickland. Rod Strickland is a great guard. Terrell Brandon, great guard. Mookie Blaylock, more on the defensive end. Sam Cassell, these are guards. Now, ask yourself, which of these 2 players is RJ Barrett more like? Now, he's not like either, right? He's not Sam Cassell. He's not Scottie Pippen, right? But which is he more like? He's more like Scottie Pippen. He's not anywhere close to Scottie Pippen. Don't ever quote me and say, oh, he compared RJ Barrett to Scottie Pippen. But I'm saying, if you're talking about actual guard skill sets, RJ Barrett is more of a wing than a guard. Corey Maggette is a wing. That is a good example. Gerald Wallace is a wing. Josh Smith is a wing. Andre Kirilenko is a wing. Cooper Flagg is a wing. Scotty Barnes, ironically, is a guard. Who can't pull up jump shot. So it's weird. But if you're looking at a balance of roster, I understand positional versatility, positionless basketball, et cetera, et cetera. But you don't want to have too much of the same thing because the other pieces are important. I don't think Immanuel Quickley is enough of a pure guard. Notice I didn't say point guard. I said enough of a pure guard because he's more of a hybrid guard. This is like almost having like Lou Williams run your offense. Do you know what I mean? So this is where Brandon Ingram's playmaking, at least playmaking uptick Brandon Ingram's playmaking uptick over Kawhi Leonard might have helped you out a little bit more than you realize, right? And this is it. Immanuel Quickley is not necessarily the speediest processor. He's not the best court organizer. He's not Mike Conley. He's not Chris Paul. He's not Rajon Rondo. And those are pure point guards. But he's not even Derek Fisher. He's not even Eric Snow, man. Like, it's difficult for me to quantify this, but I think the Raptors have a lack of guards on this team. If we go back to their depth chart, and I'll just pull it up for a second, and let me just get back to this. If we go back to their depth chart, you're really talking about a very forward-heavy team, right? Jakob Poeltl is a pure center. Colin Murray-Boyles is a hybrid big. Scotty Barnes is a guard who's being asked to play in the forward position because you don't have anybody else who's better than him, and you have too many backcourt players, and RJ Barrett currently plays on this team. Kawhi Leonard is a pure wing. He is a predator wing. That is the absolute definition. He is a predator wing. Jamison Battle is a wing. He is a spot-up shooter. He is a, he's functionally probably as slow as a power forward, but he is a wing. Jacoby Walter is a wing. Okay, that's not a guard. That's a wing. I think he's a wing. A guard is Dwayne Wade. Jacoby Walter is not Dwayne Wade. Okay. Once again, I ask you, does Jacoby Walter have more in common with Sam Cassell or Scottie Pippen? He is a wing in a guard's body, in my opinion. Now, the guard stuff might get a little bit better, and let us hope. But that, to me, is an undersized 3 who's going to play a lot of 2. Okay. RJ Barrett, to me, another small forward. To me, that's a small forward. Thank you. That's a guard. Bennett Sturts is an actual guard. Anthony Simons is an actual guard. Kevin Durant is a wing. So, who are the guards on this team? Scotty Barnes is a guard, in my opinion, in terms of how he processes the floor. And his only deficiency as a guard is that he's not a good pull-up jump shooter. How he organizes the court, how he thinks the game, how he pushes transition, all guard. Okay? DeMar is a guard. Thank you. Yes, DeMar is a guard. DeMar is a guard, actually. It's surprising because he's one of those wings that turned into a proper guard. Right? That's a good take. Yes, Potts is a wing in a guard's body. Jamal Shed is a pure guard, but he is incomplete. And Jaden Bradley is a pure guard, but he is incomplete. Elijah Martin is another wing. You need a guard. You need a guard on this team. Because, again, Immanuel Quickley ain't it. If you had Kyrie Irving in place of Immanuel Quickley, I would say you're probably good. You're probably good, right? Is LeBron a guard? Yes, LeBron is a guard. LeBron is a guard in a wing's body, just like Scotty Barnes. He has the pull-up jump shooting. He organizes the court. LeBron is absolutely a guard. Is Cam Carr a guard? No, Cam Carr is purely a wing. Rodney Stuckey, no. Ben Gordon is a guard. He's a microwave scoring guard, but he's a guard. Bro thinks every shooting guard is a wing. I just said Ben Gordon is a guard. Ben Gordon is Reggie Miller is a guard. Darren Peterson is absolutely a guard. Dylan Harper not a guard? No, he's Dylan Harper is absolutely a guard. Russell Westbrook is another guard. Luka Doncic is another guard. DeMar DeRozan is another guard. D'Angelo Russell is another guard. Someone said Reggie Miller is not a guard. Okay, bro. Brandon Roy is one of my favorite guards. Shout out Seattle. Great guard. Is there a common link that we're drawing here? Rod Strickland is one of my favorite guards of all time. Derek White, that's tough. That's really tough. I think he blurs the line perfectly between guard and wing. So does Jalen Suggs. I think Jalen Suggs is more of a guard than a wing. But yes, these are all great examples. Sam Cassell, Peyton Pritchard, these are all guards, in my opinion. These are good guards. Anthony Edwards is a guard. Yes. I think Anthony Edwards is a guard. 100%. Steph Curry is a guard. Yes. Jamal Murray is also a guard. Yes. Kind of a wing? No. I think Jamal is a pure guard. Ty Jerome is a good guard. Gravis Vasquez was a guard. Jose Calderon was a guard. Kyle Lowry was a guard. Fred VanVleet was a guard. You've had a lot of guards. Is there like how should I explain this that I'm not explaining this that it makes sense? Peyton Watson is a wing. Kobe Bryant is a guard. Yeah. So I'm saying that you need guards. Okay. You need good guards and you don't have them. Manu Ginobili was also a guard. Yes. These are good examples. Kyrie Irving is a guard. Yes. So when I look at players, I'm like, guards, wings, forwards, and centers. Very important. Now, we were having this discussion largely because on Player's Choice today, we were talking about whether or not you could play Jaren Jackson at the 5. And Mars was vehemently against this. He's like, no, Jaren Jackson cannot play the 5. And I was thinking, like, why? Like, I know why, but like, a lot of people were wondering why. And people were just like, wait, isn't he 6'11" with a 7'5" wingspan? Why can't he play center? It's very obvious. You're 6'11", go play center. He doesn't have the instincts for it. That's the perfect wing. Yes, Terrence Ross is a wing. He is not a guard. Part of being a guard is how you see the game. The other part is your physical profile, how you move, your center of gravity, your skill level. It's how you think the game. It's how you play the game. A guard is very important. Tim Hardaway, the original Tim Hardaway, not his son, was a guard, right? Is PJ Tucker a big or a wing? He's a big wing. I would consider him a forward. So he's not a wing. He's a forward. I think PJ Tucker is a forward. So for me, I don't define, like, Tobias Harris is a forward, right? Julius Randle's a forward. Tobias Harris is a forward. Aaron Gordon's a forward, right? But then I flip it to Peyton Watson, Scottie Pippen are wings. You might play them as small forward. I don't care. To me, that's a wing. Now, that's not to say you can't have a lineup with 2 forwards, a center, and 2 guards. You can totally do that. Ideally, though, you don't want to have a lineup with no guards. And the Raptors have a lineup with like 1 guard, which is Scottie Barnes. And he just so happens to play power forward. So unless Scottie is basically moving up to 1 and quickly moves to 2, and Barrett moves to 3, and Kawhi moves to 4, and Jakob is the 5, this offense, pretty much as structured, does not work that well. It's very cramped. Number one, Scottie's lack of shooting and RJ's lack of shooting, quite frankly, I think present problems. So what happens when you replace RJ with an actual guard? I'm going to give you a guard off the top of my head. Let's think of a guard. Let's think of a good guard. Malik Monk is a guard. Let's talk about Malik Monk. Malik can dribble, pass, shoot. He has the athleticism to break it down. He can pull up off the 3. He's a guard. Malik is absolutely a guard. Nickeil Alexander, you know who else is a guard? Andrew Nembhard is a guard. That's a guard. Andrew Nembhard. Let's replace one Canadian with another. Let's pretend Andrew Nembhard is on this team. Do you know how much more this roster makes sense? Now, everyone keeps talking about RJ's cutting ability. Can we talk about that? You talk about RJ cutting into space as if Kawhi is suddenly going to be passing to RJ Barrett on the move. He's not going to make those passes, yo. All RJ Barrett is going to do, and all, frankly, Scottie Barnes is going to do, is complicate spacing for Kawhi. And Jakob Poeltl is not helping either. The Toronto Raptors have to think back to what worked the last time. What worked the last time you had Kawhi here? You had 2 stretch bigs and you had shooters around them. Now, Scottie Barnes is not going anywhere. Colin Murray is not going anywhere. Those are your 2 best players. Neither one of those guys is going to help your spacing very much. So you already have somebody who's going to be occupying the dunker or running into spaces that open on the court. How many people do you want running into spaces? This offense, in my opinion, is doomed to fail, but it won't fail spectacularly. It won't fail easily, and it won't fail until it's too late. Okay? Because sometimes things work so badly, they don't start. Right? And in that case, you're like, oh no, we're 2-10. This team, as structured, is so good defensively that they will never start 2-10. They'll start like 10-7, and you'll be like, oh, see, they're going. What RJ Barrett does have, though, is he has a little bit of a handle. He's not like a pure wing. He's like a guardish wing. So I guess if RJ Barrett could somehow figure out how to hit a pull-up jump shot and could become a little bit more dynamic with the handle and regather some of his passing from 2 years ago, I can get on board with this. But to me, it's just like you have too many spacing concerns right now. And I understand off the bench you got Allen Graves, but he's very young. He's very young. He's 19. He's going to be 20 next month. You know, that's a guy who can shoot in theory, right? Jamison Battle, very unproven. At times last year, a little bit unplayable. Elijah Martin, also G League, it's unproven. Jamal Shed, shaky shooter. I hope he's working on it. I know he's working on it, in fact. Jacoby Walter, a little bit streaky last year, but you're hoping for big things this year. You're betting on shooting upside and progression from Scottie Barnes and Colin Murray to keep things open and honest. But honestly, I just don't want to be in a situation where teams are able to get away with double teaming Kawhi and he's going to end up in the same situation as Brandon Ingram with slightly better results. No, we need to create a system where teams are very reluctant to help down on Kawhi. And it's not as simple as, oh, well, team's not going to leave Scotty Barnes, because we saw it last year. Scotty Barnes in the corner was awful. And if Emmanuel Quickley is on the court, then Emmanuel Quickley is running pick and roll with Jakob Poeltl to free up a nail pass for Kawhi Leonard. Jakob Poeltl clears to the dunker. Emmanuel Quickley flares to the top. RJ flares to one wing. Scotty goes to the other wing. And what are we doing? We're just watching Kawhi play basketball. This is not the way to play basketball. So this is where I say Scotty probably needs to initiate the offense. For this group to be successful, he needs to have the reins on offense. Him having the reins on offense will mitigate some of the spacing concerns. Now, I understand how the Raptors think about this. They're like, oh, well, how can he run the reins of the offense? Because the pickup point is so low because he can't shoot. Teams will just back off. Well, teams backed off in the playoffs and it didn't work. He just drove it down their throat. So keep doing that. Scotty cannot be both a bad shooter and offensively unassertive, because then the offense falls apart. He has to be assertive. If teams back off, drive into them, collapse the paint. Now you have a dead-eye shooter in Kawhi Leonard to reset the offense to. You have good shooters, capable shooters. You have a capable finisher in Jakob Poeltl. I'm just kind of like, does a Scotty pick and roll work better with Jakob, or does it work better in a pick and pop with Miles? I'm of the opinion that it probably works better as a pick and pop with Miles. So right now, I understand that there's some element of like the Raptors just want to see if this works or not. But I'm of the belief that I think the Raptors would be wise to get a stretch big in and let Scotty run point with that player. Scotty Barnes would be the point guard on this roster, and I would surround him with a dynamic wing next to him. So, even if, for instance, you were to trade RJ Barrett for Malik Monk and stuff from the Kings, right? So you get Malik next to Scotty. I would run Scotty with Malik and IQ spacing and Kawhi operating at the nail and Jakob operating at the dunker. I think one of these things has to change. I think the Raptors know it too. And honestly, trust the Raptors when they show you their cards. The Raptors tried to trade for Derek White, Jaren Jackson. Are you seeing a trend? Then they ended up trading for Kawhi Leonard. He has a lot in common with those two players. I mean, he's better than both those players. They paid a lot more for him, but he has a lot in common with those two players. They can shoot, and they're really good defenders. I don't think Ryan Rollins is coming here at that price. He really outplayed his value last year, and I think he was very good. ESPN Executive, would you do RJ for Turner? Money-wise, it works, and if anything, maybe Milwaukee offers you second tandem then. I would absolutely consider it. Yes, 100%. Someone said Monk and Sabonis. The salaries just don't work, dude. Turner sucks at rebounds. Well, it's a good thing you have Alan Graves, who's awesome at rebounding. Kawhi Leonard, who's awesome at rebounding. RJ Barrett, who's awesome at rebounding. Oh, wait. RJ Barrett's going out in that trade. My bad. Colin Murray Boyles, who's awesome at rebounding. Elijah Martin's pretty good rebounder. I mean, rebound by committee, dude. You can't have everything. You're not going to get perfect players at 2024. Yeah, I want to give a shout out to Jonathan Mobo, dude. I love John Mobo. I do. I really like him. And I'm never going to turn my back on that dude. He's a good guy. Show me a lot of love over the years. So, shout outs to Jonathan Mobo. I wish him the best. Give him a big shout out on Player's Choice today too. But I wish him a lot of luck over in Sacramento, man. That he's a really good person. And I'm rooting for him to be successful. I have a feeling that he will be successful though. He works really hard. So maybe the Raptors gave up a little too early. Opinions on Rui Hachimura. Absolutely pure wing. That's a pure wing right there. He's good. He's good. He's a good player. Mobo gone too late. We could have had Filipowski. I don't think we wanted Filipowski, dude. Mobo is Scotty's guy. Says a lot. I mean, yeah. Jalen Duren. No. Is Shaden Sharp a guard? Yes. Shaden Sharp is absolutely a guard. Jalen Green is absolutely a guard. Dyson Daniels is a guard. Not surprising, but it's true. He sees the game like a guard. He's not a perfect guard. He's not a good shooter, but he is a guard. Ben Simmons is a guard. Would prefer beef stew and Ty Jerome deal over Turner. What is the deal? Are you suggesting that we can get Isaiah Stewart and Ty Jerome for RJ Barrett? If that deal was on the table, I would probably add a first to it. Ty Jerome is a guard. And beef stew is a big who can shoot. Yes, that would be a perfect deal for the Raptors. Yes, I would be very excited. Raptor guy, 86. Sorry. Okay, wait, go back. AI Gamma said, you messed up my super chat. I said Devin Booker. Did I mess it up? My bad. Hold on. I apologize. Oh, shit. I thought you meant Dylan Brooks. Why did I D Book? What is it crazy that we go all in and trade for D Book like Devin Booker? Sorry, man. I can't believe I did that. I apologize. Devin Booker is a guard. Now that's a guard. I think he's a little bit overrated. He's definitely overpaid. He definitely fits more of the Jaylen Brown level of star. But if all it took was Emmanuel Quickley, RJ Barrett, and like a pick, I would do it. Yeah, I would do it. That is a bet. That's a bet though. Like that's like a real push your chips to the center of the table. That's we're going in. But I'm not trading more than that. And that's not going to get it done. That's the problem, right? Like he makes way too much money and he's smallish. You know, he's about 6'4-ish, 6'5". I just don't buy the upside. I don't think he's getting that much better. It's kind of been a red flag to me that he hasn't demanded out yet. You know, you can call it loyalty or whatever. I think his game is really smooth, and I think that masks some of the issues that I have overall with his game. There were times last year where you could argue Dylan Brooks was literally their best player. That sounds crazy to say, but it's actually true. It's really freaking crazy to say that that's true, but it is true. Anyways, I apologize for messing up your chat. I apologize. You have to send me another $2 to compare it. Wow, what a mistake. My bad. Raptors guy, 86 said, Philly's biggest question mark is if Embiid can stay healthy, his knees are made of glass. Well, that's a chillism if I've ever heard one. I will say this. I think that their biggest question mark right now is who's gonna fit without the basketball. I don't think Paul George is a bad player. I actually think Paul George is a pretty good player, and I think he's pretty underrated. He's obviously a worse player than Jaylen Brown, and it's not close. Like he's worse across the board. But Paul George could still like turn it up defensively. He's a little bit bigger, but he was able to function off the ball. Is Jaylen Brown going to be able to function more off the ball? He's going to have to because Tyrese Maxey's going to have the ball a lot. Joel Embiid's going to have the ball a lot. And I'm wondering whose team this is right now. Is this Maxey's team? Is this? I know that's more of a internet debate topic as opposed to necessarily a topic. But like, who takes the final shot? Who is the offense going through on that final play? Who are you trusting to make the big decisions? Right? Game 7, down 1. Who's taking that shot? Is it Maxey? It's probably Jaylen Brown. Or is it Embiid because he's your franchise legend? I don't know. So that to me is a big question. I'm also uncertain about like how all of this works. VJ Edgecombe, and like there's a version of this now. Yeah. And I'm also, I think the depth is a bigger concern for me than maybe you're letting on. Okay. WYSO, explain why Dylan Harper is a guard. He's not good at organizing offense and doesn't have any special passing skills. Barely has a pull-up 3. Dylan Harper is absolutely a guard. Number 1, he's played guard most of his life, so that helps how he functions. Number 2, if you read his instincts in transition, if you read his instincts in the half court, he's actually very much concerned with where his teammates are, which is usually a very guardish skill. Wings are more basket directive in terms of like what they do. Like they're almost everything is to the basket, crash the glass, run to the glass, hit the shot, run in transition. They're not necessarily focused defensively or offensively. I think he's such a good organizer of offense. I found the Spurs offense kind of directionless sometimes when De'Aaron Fox was running it, but it would often smooth up and he would kind of instinctively know like, oh, this guy hasn't had a touch in like three, and he would get him a swing. And then he has this uncanny ability to get into the paint, dissect, and then he scores out of it. That's more of his role. But if you watched him in high school, I think you absolutely see a guard. He has a very effective handle. Number 1, the pull-up 3 is getting better. It's not great, but I think he was 45% from 3 after All-Star break. Not all pull-ups by any means, but it's definitely getting better. So yeah, he's not Steph Curry. Right, I'm not suggesting he's Rod Strickland, but Yeah, he's definitely more guard than wing to me. I hope that explains it. Papa Mochi said, would prefer beef stew and Ty Jerome deal. Again, I agree with that 100%. And would you want Donovan Mitchell at point guard? I almost thought I read Davion. Donovan Mitchell at point guard. He's not a point guard, though. He's not a point guard. Doesn't organize the offense. He doesn't. What is a point guard? Mark Jackson's a point guard. Not Steph Curry. Chris Paul. Honestly, Chris Paul. Chris Paul is a point guard. Chris Paul is the absolute definition of a perfect point guard, in my opinion. Is the best point guard, pure point guard I've seen in my life, other than Jason Kidd and Magic Johnson. Steve Nash gets some credit too. It's like point guards set everyone up to be better. I don't know how else to say it. Like they make sure their bigs don't get into trouble with fouls. They make their bigs look good at the basket. It's not just assists. It's like angles of screens, making sure that they don't go too early, making sure guys get touches, making sure guys are in the right spot, making sure the ball is hitting their hand the way they want it, making sure that guys have passes. Like there's certain bigs you can't pass below their hips or they'll miss it. Guards have to remember that. There's certain people they need to pass a little bit softer. Some people they want it a little bit harder. You need to remember all that. Point guards and guards in general necessarily have to be a lot more focused on their teammates, in my opinion. So, yeah. We got another super chat from ESPN Zach KD, goated, one of our VIP members. ESPN's Zach KD said, Blake Murphy's article mentions Kawhi having a 15% trade kicker. Do you think he'll waive it to help the financial flexibility for the roster here? I would hope so, but he only has 1 year left on his deal, so the trade kicker would kick. Paul George also has a trade kicker. That's interesting. Yes, Paul George also has a trade kicker, and I don't think will be waiving that. I think this will really depend on what the Raptors intend to use that money for. Also want to mention, like from the Raptors cap sheet perspective right now, the Raptors are in a little bit of a hell, which is why they're probably very much looking for another team to take on Trayce Jackson-Davis' contract, maybe some other contracts, because if you don't send out more than you take in, you get hard capped at the first apron. And you don't have access to your mid-level exception for someone said, what? What's going on? It's just kind of weird because I'm thinking like 15 years ago, I would have thought you were speaking like French. If you said like he's a positive EPM player. I know what you mean though. He is a positive EPM player. He's almost always a positive EPM player. He grew so much as a team system defender last year. Like Emmanuel Quickley is solid. He's not great. He's a little bit overpaid, but don't let that diminish it, man. You said The Lost World was a great underrated sequel. I don't really like The Lost World, dude. What happened? LeBron willing to accept a minimum contract to play for a contender. Yes, he is. What's the Kawhi extension look like? I actually haven't done the math at all. I believe it is 2 years, 124. Yeah. Jalen Harris or Matt Thomas? Matt Thomas. Yeah. No. Give me Joe Wieskamp, bro. I take both your options off. I still believe in Joe Wieskamp and Jeff Doughton, bro. Those were the days. No. I'll round this out by saying the Raptors are absolutely in a contender window, not just because Vegas said they are in a contender window or that they are top 5 contenders. Obviously, they're a long shot fifth spot. But, after the Celtics did what they did with Jaylen Brown, I think they're pretty much guaranteed to take a step back. I don't necessarily love the Mitchell Robinson signing. And you could argue Philadelphia steps up a little bit, but I still think the Raptors are better, right? So I think you look at this and you say the Raptors are probably 2 good moves away from locking themselves into having a chance. And this is what I say. Like, we were talking about this on the panel today, and I said, at what point do we grade a decision? It's only at the point that you make the decision, right? NY Kareem, shout outs to you. I have you guys as favorites to win a championship or to come out of the East. I look at this as like you gotta give yourself a chance, bro. Like, it's almost like you gotta buy a lottery ticket. I'm not suggesting buying lottery tickets, but I'm saying like you gotta just give yourself a chance to be there. And now you let the cards fall where they may. Lucky shots, injuries, things happen, right? You get to the finals and I don't know, the other star player tears his Achilles. That happened last time, right? Maybe this time you get to the finals and your star player has an injury. That would suck. That also happens. The point is, prior to this Kawhi trade, the Raptors really didn't have a chance, did they? There was a long shot of getting out of the first round and maybe the second round, but to win 4 successive rounds, that's 16 games in the playoffs, it requires an established floor, like a serious level of cutting out variance. Like, what do you see with the Boston Celtics when they absolutely got smoked by the Sixers, ironically, right? The 3-pointers just stop going in. Just stop going in. King KO for life. Please stop spamming all caps, bro. One of the things we like to do around here is we like to ask ourselves, if everyone did it, would it be a better world? So if everybody spam super chats or like this video, of course, it would be a better world for me. But if everybody started speaking in all caps, this would be an insufferable chat. So please don't do that. This is your final warning. That's your final warning. I'm gonna give you one more warning before you get knocked out of here. But I appreciate you coming through. Yeah, just that button that says caps lock, just turn it off. Turn it off. Ban it. In fact, do me a favor. Take some pliers. Just take that shit off your type in all low caps. Shit. My point is, you just got to be there. You got to get there. And in order to, like, when you think about 3-point shooting variance, right? 3-point shooting variance, it comes and goes. You have a bad shooting week, you lose a series, you got to have something more sustainable. You got to have some soup. Do you know what I mean? You got to have some soup, and you got to have some proteins. You got to have some veggies. But bro, you got to have the hearty steak in the middle. Someone said thumbs down. Okay, you're either a boomer or a child, but you go and put in timeout like a child. You've been timed out. Oh shit, it says you got banned. My bad, my finger slipped. Anyways, so what I was saying was, you got to have the steak, because that's your meal. You don't know if the salad's going to be there. You don't know if the soup is going to be hearty, but that steak, that's what keeps you alive. And that steak is your defense, right? That steak is Kawhi and Scotty's talent. Now, if they're healthy, that's what you say, we have a chance. That level of belief carries through your entire roster. And there's nothing like knowing, walking into a game 7, that dude, he's the man in that. He's the man at this. This is his job. This is what he does. He will carry us through. That sense of belief makes you almost not want to let him down. And, a lot of Michael Jordan's teammates have talked about this, from Bill Winnington to Luke Longley to all, to Steve Kerr. I didn't want to let that guy down. I knew he had it. I just wanted to do my part. It's much easier to be a role player than a star, dude. And when you don't have like a defined alpha, the earth moves when that guy walks in the room type of star like this, like LeBron, like Jordan, like Kobe, you don't have those guys. People start to get really confused about what they're supposed to do. So if nothing else, what this guy does is he settles Immanuel Quickley the fuck down. I don't care how much confidence you have in Immanuel Quickley. You are not looking this dude off in the post, or he will ghost your ass. And I hope he's a real hard ass. I hope he's a real hard ass on Jacoby and Jamal Shed, and because guys make mistakes, and I need them to be accountable for it. I need Kawhi to do to them what he did to Nick Nurse, where he said, "Nah, fuck all that noise. I'm guarding Giannis." Players got to lead. Your player has to be the loudest, biggest presence in your locker room. It felt too many times over the last couple of years, the rah-rah chants were coming from Darko Rajakovic. Last year, it started to feel like it was starting to come from, Scotty Barnes a little bit. And I was like, okay, this is good. This is a good progression because player-led teams win championships. Kyle Lowry, right? Like Marc Gasol. These were the loudest people. Kawhi Leonard, not so loud, but definitely there as a leader. Fred VanVleet, leader, right? Those are your leaders in that locker room. Tim Duncan, Manu, Tony, Kawhi over the Spurs, Steph Curry, Draymond Green, Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, Shaquille O'Neal. Like these guys are loud. Kevin Garnett, Paul Pierce, loud. So, Kawhi, Scotty, morph in the type of leaders that can command an organization, can dictate the terms of engagement and a practice, dictate intensity, dictate, accountability. When a guy goes out of pocket, takes a dumbass shot, misses a rotation on defense, who's talking to him? This is the kind of stuff that veteran teams just understand. And you've had Garrett Temple here kind of speaking this little wisdom into guys' ears, like, oh, in a couple of years when I'm not here, you're going to have to do that. I need you to watch your film. I need you to become obsessed with the work. You build professionals so that when a professional, like a grown-ass superstar comes into the room, he's not kind of like having to babysit. I don't think Kawhi's going to have to babysit this team. Yeah. But I think this team is two pieces away. I can't wait to see what those two pieces are. I think they will find them. I don't know how they're going to find them. It's going to be either a trade, free agency. We obviously got some roster spots. I don't think we can honestly, I don't think we can cheap out on this. I don't think we can just go like all minimum signings. I just don't. I don't think you could just go like, okay, we're just going to go and see if Nate Biddle got the goods. If Nate Biddle makes it, great. He can play two-way, right? There's a lot of roster spots that have to be filled out for the Raptors. I'm assuming they'll slow play this. They'll be opportunistic. They'll see the buyout market. Maybe they will call DeMar DeRozan. He's not the only person who's about to get bought out. There will be others who will get bought out too. So be patient, slow play it. But at some point this summer, I need you to fill out this roster around Kawhi Leonard. Contavious Caldwell-Pope is a good idea. That's a good idea. Definitely. Bruce Brown, Kyle Lowry, not so much. No, he's a little bit old. Victor Oladipo, he was solid, right? So we'll see. And again, let's see what the rookies can do. I'm for this, but get veterans in case. Get guys who can play basketball in case. If a rookie beats them for the spot, you can trade the vet. If the rookie can't play, what are you going to do? Right? Someone said Rodgers is rich. Buy out Pirtle. That's not how this works. You can't you have to wave and stretch the guy. Buying him out, that's difficult. It's a little more difficult. And also, like, you wouldn't have a starting center. Do you think he's so bad that he's addition by subtraction? I promise you he is not. He's a good idea. A stretch big. He can sort of stretch it a little bit. He's not optimal, but he's good enough. He is good enough. And then I would target. Yeah, I would target a veteran guard. Mike Conley's gone, bro. Mike Conley is gone. Jay Huff and TJ McConnell would be perfect. I don't think Indiana's giving up on TJ McConnell. That is an interesting name for sure. Give me Lego Man. Who is Lego Man? Anthony Simons would be dope off the bench. I hear you. From a skill set perspective, he would be awesome. But that dude, like, legitimately might be one of the worst defenders I've ever seen. The fact that he takes as many threes as he did and he did not work in Boston gives me a lot of pause. I mean, Kyrie is like, do you know how many teams are saying, how many fan bases are like, oh, if we could only have Kyrie, he might be like the most wanted player in the league right now. And he hasn't played in almost 2 years. That should tell you what that skill set is worth. Now, that is a guard. That's a guard. Bradley Beal is a guard. He's a guard. He's absolutely a guard. Bradley Beal is a guard. CJ McCollum is a guard. Not to get back into this shit. Oh, Miles Turner, Lego Man. Of course. Miles Turner, obsessed with Lego. I should know this. I used to be obsessed with Lego. Love Lego. Sahaj saying reports are saying Jaylen Brown had fallen heavily out of favor with the Celtics front office because he was traded for pennies on the dollar. What? Gary Trent Jr. reunion, would you do it? Gary is a very incomplete wing who thinks he's a guard sometimes. Yeah, he's definitely. Honestly, from what I've gathered, Jaylen Brown at no point requested a trade at all. Would you want Jalen Duren? For what? For Jakob Poeltl? Yeah, sure, straight up, happily. But for Jakob Poeltl and 4 first-round pick swaps and shit, no, I'm good. I mean, Jalen Duren destroyed Jakob Poeltl this year. Yeah, I don't know if they will, but yeah. Cam Thomas or Gary Trent Jr.? Gary Trent Jr. Only high IQ players desired. Yes, that would be great. Okay, let me see. There are some available free agents. I'm just going to pull up a list of available free agents on Spot Track. It's going to give me names that aren't actually available, but give me one sec. Some of these names will be gone, but LeBron James, James Harden, CJ McCollum, these are all gone. Chris Middleton, rumored to be going to Miami. Kristaps Porzingis gone. Draymond Green, obviously staying put. Anthony Simons, eesh. Anthony Simons, well, he's not going to be cheap. Who's left? Gabe Vincent is a guard. I would look, okay, in this list, I'm gonna give you like a grade for guys that I'm actually interested in. Rui Hachimura, I would be interested in. I just don't think we have the money to do it. So I'm just going to try to focus my attention on guys that I think might be available for like a Mamu deal. And by what I call a Mamu deal would be like a flyer deal, like a 1+1 player option. Kenrich Williams, yes. Jet Howard, no. Maybe. I would prefer Caleb Houston. Gershon Yabusele, yes. I would call Gershon Yabusele. Bradley Beal. Yes, actually, I would try it. Depending on what Kawhi's relationship is like with him, I would try it. Gabe Vincent. Honestly, no. I'm just not a fan of Gabe Vincent. Kevin Love. I would have to think about it. I don't think so. Nick Richards. Nope. Aaron Holiday. We just have too many guards, bro. Especially because we signed Elijah Martin. Got Jaden Bradley. We just have too many guards. I think we're good off the guards, unfortunately. We're gonna have to like get like a guard who's a little bit bigger. So Gary Trent Jr., would I kick it around for a minimum? I think he's going back, dude. I think he's going back. Garrett Temple, no. Shout outs to Unk. Has Jordan Clarkson signed yet? Because if Jordan Clarkson hasn't, that would be a good one. If Gary Payton has not signed, I mean, that's a wing in a guard's body, so no. Marvin Bagley, yes. Josh Okogie, also a wing in a guard's body, but great offensive rebounder. I would explore Josh Okogie. I wouldn't be mad at Josh Okogie. Bruce Brown, he was kind of weird on his way out. I don't think I fuck with Bruce like that. Jordan McLaughlin, he's a good player. He's very short, though. He is a good player, though. Trenton Watford, I would kick it around for sure. I would think about it. I just don't think the roster fits perfect. But Keaton Wallace, yes, this I would explore. Keaton Wallace, I would explore. Personal bias aside, I know his trainer, shout out to Eric, but like I've heard some very, very good things. I would kick the can on Jalen Pickett. Yes. I would. Nick Smith Jr. If he's not going back, would I think I might look at Nick Smith Jr. I might give him a call just to see where his head's at. I'm not necessarily going for it, but like it fits a need. But we don't have a lot of room in our guard room, so we really have to make this one count. Okay, like this cannot be a redundant player who can never play. Would I give Christian Coloco a chance? Possibly. Possibly. I still like the guy. Olivier Sarr, we already tried this. Didn't work so well. Maybe give him a call, see how he is. Jeremy Sohan, no. We can't on this roster. I mean, shit, dude. Like, where are we at? Caleb Love. Shit. Are we in Caleb Love territory and John Tonji territory already? Fuck. Would Oscar Tshiebwe be a good depth big? Nope. Isaiah Livers? Nope. Antonio Reeves? Nope. Mac McClung? Nope. Sharif Cooper? Nope. We've run out of space. It's slim pickings. It's really slim pickings. Unless I'm missing somebody, like Seth Curry, maybe. Okay, I would maybe kick the can on that, but he's like really old. Nope. Tyus Jones. Did I miss Tyus Jones? You want Tyus Jones on this team? How does Tyus Jones fit into a backcourt with Jacoby Walter and Jamal Shed? I want like a scoring guard. That's why I was talking about DeMar DeRozan. Do you know how much? That's why I'm talking about Bradley Beal. You think I have like some great, astounding respect for DeMar DeRozan or Bradley Beal right now? No. They fit a need. You need instant offense. You need a sixth man. You need somebody. CJ McCollum would be awesome, but he is massively overqualified to do this. CJ McCollum is not going to be RJ Barrett's backup, number one, because he's probably a better player than RJ Barrett right now. And number two, because he's already with Atlanta on a pretty good deal. AJ Lawson is a wing. That's my point. AJ is a wing. He plays the game like a wing, shoots like a wing, thinks like a wing, looks like a wing, and he weighs as much as a guard. That might be the issue. He did shoot it well last year. He was a part of that massive 33-0 run. So, yeah. I do like him. Chucky is a guard, 100%. Chucky Hepburn is a guard. Like that's a pure guard. Chucky Hepburn is a pure guard. Jamal Shed is a pure guard. And these are not even pure guards. These are pure point guards. They're guards. Problem is they're not good. They're not good enough, right? So what you need is a guard who's good enough. Malik Monk is a guard who is good enough. It's so weird, man. You don't know how valuable your guard room is until you don't have guards. And it's just like when you are a team that is obsessed with size, wingspan, functionality, positional versatility, you sometimes miss the vital thing. What made the 2019 Raptors so good? Spacing and guard play. It gave all the wings all the room to operate. Spacing and guard play, the two things you don't have right now. So again, like I'm happy with the base core building blocks right now. The Raptors have, you know what the Raptors have? They have an ice statue, but it's not a statue yet. It's just a block. You got to chisel this shit away. You got to tear away the pieces that don't make sense, the pieces that are too redundant, and then you got to go and find like actual pieces that make sense. If you ever wondered why I pushed for Bennett Sturtz as bad as I did, even before the Kawhi trade, Bennett Sturtz is a pure guard. F is cool. Please don't. I'll also remind you as well. It's just a kind reminder. Please don't spam all caps. It's just not necessary. I mean, unless you're actually screaming. Are you screaming this? Is that what you're saying? Like you're screaming this? Hold on. Let me try to scream this out. Hold on. Let's try to scream out your response. Okay. I'm gonna take my camera off so you can never ever you can't video capture me saying this, but let me read your bro. Go get a center. We lost Mama. Pirtle sucks, and the only center we have is CMB. Are you cool now? Am I cool now? Have we all lost our fucking minds? Do you sound sane? You get my point? Okay. Easton sign and trade. I'm cool with it. Shiv said that sounded like an AI voice. Okay, can I please say, I naturally have a lot in common with AI. I don't know why that is, but I do. I write
a little bit like AI writes. So sometimes I write and I'll write something from the heart, from my best intentions, and people will be like, "Nah, bro, that's ChatGPT." Man, fuck you. Sometimes I'll be talking, people are like, "No, that's AI." No one would ever say my face is AI. But there's this girl that I follow on Instagram. I think her name is Toshka, right? It's like healed by Toshka or something. And someone wrote on her thing, it's like, is she AI? Because she looks like, I don't know, she got filters or work done or whatever. She looks like she got perfect skin, perfect everything. And she's always so articulate. She doesn't mess up her words at all. And people are like, is she AI? And people are like, nah, bro, she's not AI. And I'm like, what world are we living in right now? Weird. Glad we didn't trade for Sabonis. Well, it's a long summer, bro. Get ready for it. No, I don't think we're trading for Sabonis. But would you do it? Would anyone do it? No, I wouldn't. Come on, let's not be dramatic. I wouldn't end the channel. I might move countries. I would trade for Sabonis if it's Pirtle and RJ with no picks. See, that is funny because I don't think I would trade for Sabonis if it's just RJ and Pirtle with no picks. Unless I knew he was 100% healthy and really motivated and blah, blah, blah. But I don't see the positional thing. Like, where am I supposed to put Scotty Barnes now? Am I supposed to put him at center? Who is my starting center? Colin Murray Boyles? Because it's not Domantas Sabonis. Is Domantas Sabonis my center? Okay, now I got to have a shot blocking 4 to play with him. Because he's like, yeah, Domas is like he's like a power forward who's been kind of stuck at center now. He doesn't play defense like a center. He just, go get Drew Holiday. I do like Drew Holiday. I hope they buy him out so that the Raptors can get him. But unfortunately, the Raptors are not necessarily the greatest buyout candidates usually. But with the second apron stuff, the apron restrictions on second apron teams restrict them from buying out, from being eligible for buyout candidates. So maybe the Raptors are preying on the buyout market. Let's hope the Raptors have a plan. Honestly, if I was a Detroit fan, I'd be panicking right now and praying that Detroit has a plan. But Detroit and Toronto seem to be like a little bit behind on whatever they're trying to do. They're waiting on something to drop to do what they got to do. Because right now it's like Phoenix has kind of done their work. The Lakers are kind of done their offseason for the most part. They're going to sign some minimums. But a lot of teams are kind of just like holding up everything. And you're looking around and you're like, who the fuck are they waiting for? Because there's really not a lot of great players left. But if the Raptors end up, with Bradley Beal and Kendrick Williams, like, okay, problem solved. You know what I mean? If the Raptors end up with Larry Nance Jr., who I didn't even bring up, I like Larry Nance. Larry Nance is a good player. Go get Larry Nance and Jordan Clarkson. I'll be very happy. You got to find opportunity. And honestly, like, you got to have a pitch. If you're Bobby Webster, you got to be able to pitch these guys something. Playing time, opportunity, money. What do you got? Because certainly I'm going to pay a lot of taxes in Canada and I'm going to go into the cold. So what do you have to offer me? And oftentimes the answer to that is usually money. I have money to offer you, so the Raptors overpay. But I think right now, what the Raptors can counter with is opportunity. I have opportunity for you. Come play with Kawhi Leonard and Scotty Barnes, be on national television, be a part of something really cool, and get your name out there. And, role players understand something fundamentally. Good role players understand something really well, which is that when you play off of stars, your numbers are better. Okay? Yeah, I don't know. Powell, 3 years, Bulls, I think. It was 2 years. But, fuck it. I'll take the Turner trade. Just get it done, Bobby. Yeah. A lot of people, I like Raptors getting Drummond. Apparently, Andre Drummond is done taking minimum deals. He said that he did it once and it tanked his value. And he is right. When you take a minimum deal one time, it kind of tanks your value going forward because guys just expect you to keep taking minimum deals, which is why I was kind of surprised that Gary Trent took the minimum deal from Milwaukee. Because as you know, no matter how well he plays, he just keeps being a minimum guy because people are not willing to pay him that any more than that, which is why guys reject minimum deals. That's why guys hold out and say they don't get minimum deals, right? So you just don't want to be a minimum guy in the NBA. It's just a weird place and you get stuck there. Mamu, of course, has very, very intelligently managed his stock because he was a minimum guy, but he made it known
that he was only going to do it for 1 year and that he had a better offer on the table. So he always leveraged it, right? And then he so drastically outplayed it. And also, he wasn't a minimum guy who became a minimum guy because no one else saw the value. Mamu had a $6 million deal with the Spurs on the table. From what I remember, it was 6 plus 6 with a team option for the second year. So he did have more money on the table, but he chose to bet on himself and give himself a player option and take a lot less money to make more money. I mean, shout outs to Mamu, man. This is an American success story. He was born in New York, Georgian. You know, got to support Mamu, man. Mamu is awesome. Final super chat, Johnny A 4267 blessing us with another super chat. I appreciate you very much. All caps bad, but someone needs to scream in Bobby's ear holes. We need center depth. It's a joke. Okay. Let's scream this out. We need center depth. It's a joke. Pirtle health is so sketchy. Who's our dog over 6'8"? Do you think that's going to make a difference, though? Like, is that going to help him understand what we're saying any better? Maybe. It might. It might. I don't know. It might. I think, yeah. Someone said, yeah, AI confirmed. I'm not AI, man. I just don't want clips of me screaming random nonsense. Anyways, y'all, I'm going to get out of here. Usually, I would like to, someone said, yeah, you not beating the AI allegations. Yo, did y'all see the rap that I wrote for our bench? Is it corny or was I cooking? Did y'all see this? Okay. Where the hell is it? Eesh. Where the hell is it? Okay. I'm gonna put this up. Like, if you're having bench problems, I'll feel bad for you, son. I got 99 problems, but my bench ain't one. Hit me. Y'all read this? RJ to Charlotte for Allen, Kalkbrenner, and Connaughton. Yeah, I would do that. Jazz signed Jackson Hayes. Dude, 2 years, 12 million to add on to what Yusuf Nurkic made. I'm sorry. That's crazy. No need to rap it now. Well, thank you very much, because I do not have the vocals for rap, but I hope somebody raps this out. I'll talk to y'all later. I usually do not end a stream with 520 or 540 people here, but I appreciate y'all for tuning in. And I do want to be respectful to the people who are going to, you know, watch this later, so I can timestamp this a little bit later. But all in all, crazy off season so far. This is absolutely insane, man. But thank you guys for sticking with us. Probably got me on one end, on one screen. You got the World Cup open on the other. I appreciate y'all for spending some time with me. It's great. And to those of the people on PC, let me know. Am I doing better on PC? I think I'm doing a little bit better on PC. The Euro game is getting a little bit better. You know, it's. I've been feeling a lot better the last couple of weeks. Let's just be real. I've been feeling a lot better. It's not just the Kawhi trade. I'm just personally feeling a lot better the last couple of weeks. And when I'm feeling better, I think it's much easier to behave better on these streams. So it's been good. All right. I'll talk to y'all later. Have a beautiful night. And please like the stream, sub up, become a member, support the channel how you can. But thank you. Your presence here is huge support. Thank you.